So it is a big challenge for all of us. We are mental health workers, we are nurses, and we are here to understand something which is not explicit, which is not visible. It's not visible that a person is going to attempt. So that's the most difficult part, and that's why it makes it very difficult to prevent, even though it is a preventable issue. When you look at that hand in this picture, you should know that you have fraction of seconds to save life. You have only fraction of seconds. If you miss that warning, if you miss that symptom, if you miss that sign, if you miss to find out some details, you will miss, this person will go down. So that's why I use this picture for my presentation. Suicide is a major public health concern, as you know. 1 million people die by suicide in the world. Suicidal behavior refers to suicidal ideation. This is very important. Most of the time people will say that I'm fed up and I want to die. And we take it lightly. Because in our mind it is very clear that this person is just saying it, he's not going to do it. It may be said in a very lighter manner. What is the use of living? The things are very bad. This country is not good. The people are not good. Nobody is treating me nicely. So what is the use of living? People have these type of dialogues in front of you, and that is taken just very lightly by us. But here the suicidal ideations are very important. They are sitting in your brain for a very long time before others will know it. So how to dig out that ideations are there. Then suicidal attempts. Many times attempts are done and people think that person has been saved or the person revived. So it was just to get attention. So people attempt suicide to get attention. So after the person recovers from an attempt, becomes normal again, is no more suicidal apparently, we try to ignore that last time this person has done to get attention and next time not going to do it. Because most of the time people are taken to casualty or emergency department for management of attempt and never taken to psychiatrist or never taken to a psychologist or in a psychiatric setup. So there is a misunderstanding among people that now the person has been scolded and has been given a lot of instructions, now this will not take place. Now the last person is completed suicide. I don't think we can do anything about completed suicide. We are here to find out how we can identify and how we can prevent it. Now these are the countries who are very well advanced countries, as you can see, all these countries. The Japan is number 1 in the world for suicide. So you can look at that. It is giving you a message. It is giving you a message that what can happen. Why is Japan reporting highest number? Why is a particular gate in San Francisco reporting maximum jumps? What is going on there? Many times we say poverty is the reason for attempting suicide or suicidal ideation. It may not be true. So we need to learn from the statistics that is in front of us. So when we are talking about young generation, it is very dangerous figure. That second leading cause in young generation is suicide or death. Now 43 is not a very good number to be standing at for suicide because we are large number. So when we say 43 number also we are in lakhs. We are not in small number. And you can imagine the last sentence. 1/3 of suicide are in India and we are in large numbers. We can't miss that. So when we are talking about major risk, of course mental illness will remain a major risk. Mental illness is a mystery. Why does it happen? To whom it happens? How it happens? What person thinks and what are the delusional states of the people? Why people will be forced to attempt? Whether it could be impulsive act or it could be thought out fact, we will not know. So mental illness will remain a mystery for all of us. And that becomes one of the main causes. But then, in mental illness also, we have to look at which type of disorders. So mostly we have mood disorders, where the person could be depressed sometimes, and it could be present as part of depression. But there are a lot of people who attempt suicide for various reasons, and risk factors can tell us something about it. Although it has been presented in my previous speakers, I have just mentioned it here, just for you to have look at the summary, that there are a lot of risk factors among people for attempting suicide. So the people who have risk of suicide could have been the ones who have attempted before. They feel hopeless, worthless, agitated, socially isolated or lonely, experience stressful life events, breakups, financial or legal problems, have substance use problem, alcohol, drug abuse. Impulsive behavior is more common among them. Then have suicidal thoughts plus have access to firearms at home. So there could be dangerous things available at home. Then have underlying psychiatric disorder, have family history of mental disorder, family history of substance use, family history of suicide, family history of violence, or even sexual abuse. Have medical condition, it could be chronic disease such as cancer or Alzheimer, or it could be terminal illnesses. Then there's a type of category of people. One example is transgenders, because there is non-acceptance in the society and in the family. So there could be hostility against them, which make them feel suicidal. Then among children and teenagers, there are special kind of issues. The suicide in children and teenagers can follow stressful life events because of the demand. Having a psychiatric disorder in young generation, then lot of conflicts or loss among close friends, because peer group are very important in this young age group. Then history of physical and sexual abuse is again one of the very important causes of suicide among young people. Then problems with alcohol or drugs in young people. Then of course certain issues such as unwanted pregnancies or sexually transmitted infections. Then victim of bullying. In this young age there are a lot of bullying taking place. Then not sure of their sexual orientation and having different sexual orientation than others. Then there can be a lot of emotional turmoil by watching others attempting suicide or committing suicide. And sometimes there is glorification of suicidal news in the news or in the TV or in the media or in the movies. Then murder and suicide. In some cases, the people want to kill others, but they are not able to kill others. They might kill themselves. So homicide, suicide may be present together. They may kill the family and they may kill themselves. You might have seen a lot of newspaper news on that. Conflict with spouse or with the romantic partner. Then currently family, legal or family financial issues. History of mental health problems also can have this murder and suicide. Then of course access to firearms. Antidepressants somehow, if you look at the antidepressants, their side effects also could be suicidal risk. Now we also need to know the protective factors. In protection, a lot of us are depressed and sad and upset and tense, and we go through a lot of problems and we could be having psychiatric disorders, but we are not attempting suicide. So that means there are certain protective factors present in us, which are ourselves helping us to resolve some issues and not go for attempt. So that is very good clinical care for mental, physical and substance use problems. If I go for treatment of these issues, then it can be a protective factor. Then access to care and attention and treatment, that means easily available, because people usually don't go to psychiatry department for any problem. The psychiatric problem is the last one for anybody to be attended. People may like to go to medical surgical departments, but they may not like to go to psychiatry. They may like to go to a neurologist, but not to a psychiatrist. So accessibility is important. Then community support is important, family support is important. Ongoing mental health care relationships are important. Skill in problem solving, conflict resolution, non-violent ways of handling dispute. Because if we are learning how to focus on problem solving in our life, then it is a protective factor. But if we are escaping from problem solving, we are blaming for all the problems, we try to put blame on others and project on others, then we become more vulnerable to problems. Then cultural and religious beliefs that discourage suicide and support instincts for self-preservation. So religion-wise, it has been found like the Catholics have less number of suicides comparatively as Protestants, if we talk about the same religion. So likewise, you will see that a lot of religions are giving certain guidelines to their religious beliefs that if you have come in this world by God's wish, you should also leave this world by God's wish. If that is your thought process and you are religious minded or religiously inclined, so religion can protect you. Then, as with mental illness, some of the biggest barriers to preventing suicide is stigma, which prevent many people from seeking help. So family also doesn't want to take you for help because they don't want anybody to know that my family member is suicidal. So if their family member is protective and they are very alert and they are observing and they will take you to psychiatrist soon, then of course it will be a protective factor. Warning signs. Most of the time we miss these signs. That's why I showed you that picture of a hand out from the water. Often talking or writing about death is very common. A person who has suicidal ideas will mostly mention somewhere about ideas of death. So that should be attended. Making comments about being hopeless, helpless and worthless. What is the use of living? I am good for nothing. Nobody loves me. Now these sentences are very important. They are not mere dialogues. This is expression of their feeling. Then expression of having no reason for living. Increased alcohol and drug misuse all of a sudden. Increase in use. Withdrawal from friends, not meeting friends, family, community, avoiding. Then reckless behavior, more risky activities without thinking. If you see a person doing a lot of impulsive activities and the person cannot explain, then it is a warning sign. Then dramatic mood change, suddenly crying and suddenly becoming quiet and suddenly becoming active, these fluctuating mood conditions. Then feeling like as if I'm burdened on this earth, I'm burdened for my family. It could happen in prolonged illnesses, that they might feel like a burden. Now there are 4 types of suicides are presented in the literature. Egoistic suicides are when the person feels that I'm not integrated with the family, I'm not integrated with people, I don't enjoy people's presence, I don't enjoy group activities, I don't go out and enjoy. So that means social integration is low. So these type of people attempting suicide because of egoistic reasons. Then altruistic. Degree of social integration is very high. I want to be everywhere, everybody should call me, everybody should say good morning, everybody should put me in the limelight, I should get more and more attention. Now you are gone. Very dangerous situation, because if people are offering, let us take a dining table, you go to dining table, you are not given food first and others are given food before you, you may become suicidal. So that much seriousness on getting attention. Then anomic, that means integration with the people is very much disturbed. Like they may be going in a different type of society. Like they may go to a peer group which is only doing violent activities. So that means they are disintegrated from mainstream of the society. Or like transgenders, they are not in mainstream. So this could be anomic type. Then fatalistic suicide. Too much control. Too much control by the society, no freedom, no proper political situation, lot of unrest in the country, not knowing what to do, how to do, you are trapped in a house, you are trapped in a society, and some agitation is taking place, and you are stuck up in some place for a very long time, you are forced to do things which you don't want to do, or you could be in prison kind of situation. Then the person may attempt suicide because of feeling left alone. Now I am taking you to another journey of biological basis of suicide. Many people try to find out what is the reason why you want to die. We ask this question from people, why you want to die? This life is so beautiful, your father loves you so much, your parents love you so much, they have given you everything, why you want to die? They are going to be very upset if you die. Now this type of dialogue is not a good dialogue from mental health worker. Because why the suicidal idea comes, nobody knows. Your patient does not know why I want to die. Because dying is not a normal thought. The dying thought or death thought is present because of biochemical changes. And you can do nothing about it by talking about it. So a discussion with a person why you want to die and why you should not be dying is a fruitless exercise. Please do not discuss with anybody why you want to die and then give a lecture on why they should not die. Because the idea of death is because of biochemical changes. So there are some markers. There are some markers which can help us to understand. There are a lot of genetic studies, neurobiology has been studied. So, what are these risk factors? So there are a lot of studies going on now. It is almost proven that all the people who have been found suicidal, having suicidal ideas or have attempted suicide, their serotonin was found to be high in the CSF. So when CSF was examined, they found 5-HT high. And some of the studies also showed abnormality in neuroendocrine system. That means their ACTH levels were not getting released as they were required. So brain-derived neurotrophic factors signal that those who have attempted suicide. Now this is about autopsies. So people who attempted suicide, their brain was studied and it was found in post-mortem that their HPA axis did not show any regulation. That means the presence of ACTH and presence of cortisol. Cortisol was high and ACTH was low. So that was found out only after death. Then there are psychological theories also. Like Freud has said, mourning and melancholia go hand in hand. And if somebody is going through melancholia, that means mourning of any kind, it could be unrealistic mourning. That means I feel that I am not having enough. Like you have seen people who have everything from your point of view. Like they could have BMW cars, they could have 10 houses, and they could have very loving family, and they could have very interesting, very good children, but they attempt suicide. Because mourning and melancholia is a absolutely biological disorder, and the depression is inherent in the deep-seated mind. So it has nothing to do with external reality. Now Menninger theory says that the person actually is angry with others, aggressive with others, annoyed with others, but cannot do anything to others, so the person directs all the anger towards self, and that is how it can take place. Internalization is a very big issue here. All the problems are internalized to self, and self-blame can happen, and then it can be introjected. There is a very big issue of sexual abuse or any abuse during early childhood. That is sitting like a seed in our brain and creating some kind of aggression towards others. Because as a child, you could not be protected by your parents. And if somebody has abused you in your young age, that means you don't even know what is happening. Like 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 5-year-old, up to 12 years old. If anybody has touched you inappropriately or spoken harsh words to you, it could be sitting in your brain and can create aggression anytime towards others, and it will be projected towards you, and you could be suicidal because of that. Then some psychologists also talk about state and trait related theories, that some people are emotionally unstable and they are unable to handle their situations because of their personality defects, and their 5-HT is also found to be low. Now when we talk about these biological theories, there is a challenge test also. We can take this challenge test. So this is called DST, dexamethasone suppression test. So that will result if there is increase of hormones and there is increase of serotonin in the blood after taking this challenge test. So this could be taking us forward in managing the suicide ideas. We can subject the person or ourselves to this DST. That means this challenge test we all can take and we will know whether we can become vulnerable to suicidal ideas in future. So maybe this is the future. As you know very well that psychiatry is going to become biological in future and there might be surgeries performed in future for psychiatric problems because at present lot of research is going on brain imaging and autopsies and examination of CSF at present. So there might be a biochemical explanation of all the mental diseases in future. So, because the people who are aggressive, their serotonin is also depleted. In teenagers, because of environmental non-support and because of parents' lack of interaction and lack of supervision, there could be many things missed, such as very simple thing as bullying. All of us have suffered from bullying in our early schools. And when we go to a new school, when you go to a new class, somebody make fun of you, children make fun of each other. And children can be mercilessly teasing their classmates and without understanding the impact it has on their permanent mental health. So this is something parents and teachers have to look in. The bullying is a very important factor in young age which can be handled very effectively if teachers and parents are alert. So I'm sure my time is up, Chairperson sir.
you.